Is Victoria moving on too fast following Cole's death on Young and the Restless? It's been 4 months since Cole's death on The Young and the Restless. His death hit Victoria and Claire hard, but Victoria seems to be moving on. However, some fans wonder if it's too soon for her to start dating. Key takeaways. Victoria and Cole were in a relationship when he passed away. Cole's death hurt Victoria and her daughter. Nate has been spending more time with Victoria recently. With Victoria and Nate growing closer, many fans debate if she should move on from Cole. Ready to date. Victoria, Amelia Heinley, has endured many heartaches over the years. Her most recent heartache was the death of her significant other, Cole, Eddie Peck, in July. The former exes reunited in 2024 when they learned that Claire, Haley Aaron, was their presumed dead daughter Eve. The reunited trio became one of Genoa City's cutest families. However, their happiness was shattered when Cole became ill. Despite efforts to save him, Cole passed away with Victoria and Claire by his side. Cole's death was devastating for Victoria and Claire. Yet, Victoria's grief has eased thanks to the support of Nate, Sean Dominic. Her former ex has been a great help to Victoria, and it appears they might be rekindling their romance. However, some YNR fans on Reddit think it might be too soon. Seriously, Cole has not even been dead half a year and she's spending all this time hanging out with Nate, one viewer wrote. It's called soap opera time. 1 day is equal to 6 months to a year LOL, one fan joked, while some fans don't see anything wrong with Victoria moving on. Nate and Victoria are good friends. They have a personal history, so it's natural they would reach out to one another in a time of grief. Nate lost his brother recently too. Not unusual at all, wrote one supporter. First, there's Nate's ex-girlfriend Audra Zuleika Silver, who is intent on winning him back. Then there's Claire, who might not be happy seeing her mom move on so soon after her dad's death. With Claire still grieving over Cole, her dark side might emerge to break up Victoria and Nate. Aside from Audra and Claire, there's also Victoria. Although she seems ready to move on, she might change her mind as her and Nate's reunion progresses. With the reunited exes getting more serious, Victoria might question if she's truly over Cole. Grief in Genoa City has never been a quiet affair. It arrives with slamming doors, trembling wine glasses, and long looks held just barely too long before breaking into tears. When someone dies on The Young and the Restless, the loss often reverberates through the Newman family like a struck piano string, vibrating long after the final note fades. But something about Cole Howard's death, sudden, shocking, and far too soon, sent a deeper wave through the Newman world. And at the center of that storm sits Victoria Newman, the daughter of legends, the perennial survivor, a woman whose heart has been battered so many times it's a wonder it hasn't turned to stone. Yet here we are again, watching her navigate the treacherous waters of grief, except this time, some viewers think she's already rowing toward a new shore. Too fast. Too suddenly. Too soon. So the question emerges. Is Victoria really moving on too quickly after Cole's death? Or is she simply grasping for oxygen in a world that keeps drowning her? Let's step inside the emotional maze, the narrative history, and the psychological labyrinth of Genoa City's most complex heiress. A woman who has loved too much, lost too much. Victoria Newman has lived more emotional lifetimes than most mortals could stomach. Her romantic history reads like a dossier of trauma. A marriage to Ryan, ripped apart by tragedy. The volatile dance with JT, ending in fear and survival. Complicated, devastating chapters with Billy. And Cole, sweet, steady Cole, whose return revived memories of a purer love. Cole was a reminder of who Victoria once was. Young, hopeful, unbruised by the endless battles of power and betrayal. When he died, it didn't just wound her in the present. It reopened every old scar she had stitched shut. And that's the thing about Victoria, her grief is never simple. It's layered, historical, soaked into her DNA like the Newman name itself. So how could she possibly move on quickly, when a man tied so deeply to her past has just vanished from her future? 2. The world that demands she move forward. Victoria isn't grieving in a vacuum. She's grieving in Newman territory, a kingdom where weakness is preyed upon, where even sorrow becomes a political liability. Victor Newman, master of steel-spined resilience, has shown very little patience over the years for emotional hesitation. In his world, pain is a private indulgence. Vulnerability is a threat. The only acceptable direction is forward. So when Victoria returns to the office, re-enters the corporate ring, or even entertains emotional support from someone new, it's easy to label her as moving on. But inside the Newman empire, forward movement is survival. Standing still is defeat. And Victoria, for all her heartbreak, is still a Newman. 3. The nature of soap opera grief. Time is elastic. Now let's speak frankly, Genoa City operates in soap opera time. Characters fall in love within a week. Secrets unravel in a day. A 2-hour gala lasts 4 episodes. People die and return with alarming regularity. So when Cole died, the timeline of grief and recovery was already warped. What might feel fast to viewers is often months in GC time, even if it's only been a handful of episodes. But the bigger truth is this. Soap opera healing rarely looks like real-world healing. And Victoria's story is playing out on a stage where emotional pacing is often dictated by plot necessity rather than realism. Which raises the question, is she moving on quickly, or are we simply seeing the compressed timeline of serialized drama? For the heart that refuses to stay still. There is another truth, one far more personal. Victoria, despite her polished exterior and her Newman resolve, is deeply human. She is a woman who feels intensely, loves deeply, and suffers privately. She spent years shuttering away her desires, burying her softer impulses beneath corporate armor. Cole's return cracked that armor. His death shattered it. So if Victoria seeks comfort, whether emotional, physical, or simply supportive, from someone new, it may not be a sign of moving on but a sign of trying to feel alive again. Grief and love live closer together than people realize. Sometimes seeking new connection isn't betrayal. It's survival. And Victoria has survived a lifetime of heartbreak. The guilt that shadows every step. Of course, Victoria isn't unaware of how it looks. In her quiet moments, rare as they are, she likely chastises herself. Should I be healing this fast? Am I dishonoring Cole? What will my children think? What will Dad think? But guilt itself is a form of grief. It clings to those left behind, whispering that any moment of joy is somehow stolen. Victoria, who has always carried the weight of expectations, Newman expectations, motherly expectations, CO expectations, feels that guilt more sharply than most. So if she hesitates before smiling again, if she pauses before accepting comfort, if she acts awkward or unsure,